So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Partners Member Cafe. We're going to wait just a few moments to let everyone get logged in, and then we will get started. All right, so good afternoon. Again, welcome to Member Cafe. We're so glad you're here with us today. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. That would be good. My name is Ann Bluff, and I am part of the member engagement team here at Partners Health Management. And I want to introduce a few of my team members that are here with me as well. So Beth Brooks is here, and she is our behind the scenes Zoom guru. She makes everything run nice and smooth. We also have joining us today is Cindy Troba. She is manager of member engagement. Crystal Sales, also part of the member engagement team, has joined us today. Our guest speaker today is our own Melissa Hatton. I'm going to tell you more about Melissa in just a moment. And then Seisha Bonner, she is one of our member engagement specialists, and she is here today. She's going to be sharing some great information with you in the chat. So you can just grab it, copy and paste it to make it easy for you to get. So before we get started, let me just share a little housekeeping with you. We are offering today's session in closed caption. So you may see that on the screen about the live transcript. So if you don't need that, it's going to be right at the bottom of your screen. You can just simply click on it to close that out, so you don't need to see that. And let me go ahead and ask Beth to share our slide deck with you. And what we're going to do today is we're going to have our guest speaker share great information with you. And then after that, time permitting, I'll share additional information about partners. So let me introduce to you Miss Melissa Hatton. She has been just an incredible part of the Partners member engagement team for the past 4 years. And she has just transitioned into a new role as operations supervisor. So congrats to you, Melissa. So previously, she was employed by the McLeod Center as a certified substance use counselor who worked on the SUD treatment field for over 10 years, specifically with pregnant women dealing with opioid dependency. And these women were seeking treatment and recovery, and Melissa worked with them to build a relationship between the hospital system and the McLeod Center, to become involved with the maternity ward and the neonatal specialist to break down the barriers and reduce stigma. So while at McLeod, she facilitated pregnancy support groups, assisted with maternity tours and information and counseling specific to treatment needs. Melissa was able to witness many women maintain sobriety and go on to deliver healthy babies with decreased chances of DSS and law enforcement involvement. All right, so I am going to let Melissa take it from here.
Can you start the next slide, please? Pregnancy and opioids, a highly stigmatized population. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the nice words, Anne. As you can see on the screen, it says highly stigmatized population. So I'm going to talk about why that is today. But first, let's talk a little bit about opioid use and how it works. Opioids attach to a certain receptor in the brain called an opioid receptor, which is responsible for pleasure and reward. Opioids do their job by blocking out feelings of pain while also creating calming effects, often causing an intense rush of pleasure or euphoria. Some people even report a rush of energy from them as well. People can build up a tolerance to opioids rather quickly. As someone continues to take the drug, their body essentially gets used to it. And this usually means they will need higher doses to continue to experience the same effects and to avoid withdrawal symptoms. People develop a tolerance and dependence even with legitimate medical use. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the opioid crisis. The current opioid crisis in the United States has resulted in a significant increase in opioid use disorder among pregnant and parenting women. Prenatal opioid use disorder is a serious public health concern and linked with numerous health consequences for both mothers and children. There has been a dramatic increase in maternal opioid use in recent years, paralleling the epidemic in the general population. In some states, more than 41% of women reported filling a prescription for opioids while they were pregnant. The number of women with opioid-related diagnoses documented at delivery increased by 131% from 2010 to 2017. Next slide, please. Pregnancy and substance use disorder. Having a substance use disorder during pregnancy is a grave concern because it puts two lives at risk. Substance use disorders are most prevalent in adolescents and young adults. Basically, this puts women of childbearing age, which is generally between the ages of 15 to 44, at the greatest risk of developing an addiction. 39% of women in the reproductive age of 15 to 44 years enrolled in Medicaid have prescriptions written for narcotics, making opioid use in expecting mothers a major concern in America. 1 in 5 reported a substance use disorder as a result. Next slide, please. Birth defects. Population-based studies by the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, have found a link between the use of opioid painkillers by expectant mothers and birth defects in the baby. Maternal misuse of opioids with fluctuating levels of use in the mother may expose the fetus to repeated periods of withdrawal, which can harm placenta function. It is also associated with severe complications such as placental abruption, neonatal abstinence syndrome, fetal growth issues, preterm labor, and stillbirth. Abnormalities such as spina bifida, hydrocephalus, glaucoma, and congenital heart defects are reported by pregnant women due to opioid painkiller use. Opioid use by mothers in the first trimester increases the chance of heart defect in the baby by 2 times. Next slide, please. So what is neonatal abstinence syndrome? Neonatal abstinence syndrome, referred to as NAS, occurs when an infant becomes dependent on opioids or other drugs used by the mother during pregnancy. Basically, this means that a newborn baby goes through opioid withdrawal during the first few days of life. Between 55 and 94% of babies born to mothers suffering from opioid dependency develop NAS. The infant often experiences withdrawal symptoms that can include, but are not limited to, tremors, diarrhea, fever, irritability, seizures, and difficulty feeding. The most commonly used medications are morphine and methadone for treatment of NAS, and the babies are given lower and lower doses of the medication to wean them from opioid dependence. Most women are encouraged to breastfeed unless the risks of substance use clearly outweigh the medical benefits. By breastfeeding, it allows the mother to take an active role in managing the infant's withdrawal symptoms. It promotes bonding and provides the mother with continued motivation to avoid other drugs and alcohol. Next slide, please. Effects of stigma. Mothers of infants with NAS face the challenges of overcoming stigma as they are often ostracized, excluded, and shamed. It is estimated that every 25 minutes, a baby is born with neonatal abstinence syndrome. They often face challenges in receiving support and advocacy from their care and service providers who frequently have their own biases towards this population. 18 states now criminalize the use of alcohol and other drugs during pregnancy. In North Carolina, pregnant women who are identified as using a substance are not criminalized but are reported to DSS. However, at birth, if an infant screens positive for drugs or alcohol, this warrants a referral to Child Protective Services. Some women will avoid seeking treatment due to fears of judgment, DSS involvement, or law enforcement. Often these women do not seek out prenatal care and sometimes will not seek out medical treatment of any kind while they're pregnant. People with substance use disorders suffer from stigma in general, but due to societal stereotypes, women are stigmatized far more. With pregnancy added to the mix, the pressure can be immeasurable and intensifies the effects of the stigmatization on the physical and mental health of the mother, and this affects the care and well-being of the fetus. Next slide, please. So why can't I just stop? For most people, opioid withdrawal, though it feels terrible, is usually not life-threatening, though complications can arise depending on general health. Here's some of the opioid withdrawal symptoms, which include stroke craving, anxiety, restless legs, nausea, chills, vomiting, diarrhea, sweating, loss of energy, and an elevated heart rate. These symptoms can last for days or longer. Quickly stopping opioids during pregnancy is highly not recommended. This can have serious consequences, including preterm labor, fetal distress, or even miscarriage. Next slide, please. Medication-assisted treatment. Benefits of treatment with what they refer to as MAT during pregnancy is an evidence-based practice that is medically safer for both mother and child. Treatment with methadone or buprenorphine are both good options. Buprenorphine and methadone are opioid receptor agonists used as opioid substitution therapy during pregnancy. An opioid agonist is a chemical that produces similar effects to those produced by the opioids. They stabilize the body to limit exposure of the fetus to the cycles of opioid withdrawal and significantly reduce risk to both mother and child. Compared to untreated pregnant women, women treated with methadone or buprenorphine had infants with lower risk of having NAS and decreased severity of it, and often having higher gestational age, weight, and size. Next slide, please. So what are best outcomes? Best outcomes are achieved when women are enrolled in comprehensive treatment programs. Treatment with an opioid agonist, such as methadone or buprenorphine, improves pregnancy outcomes for women with opioid use disorders. The best outcomes are achieved when women are enrolled in these types of treatment plans. The goal of therapy for opioid use disorder during pregnancy is to provide counseling, medical support to prevent withdrawal during pregnancy, prenatal care for the baby, minimize fetal exposure to illicit substances, and engage the mother as a leader in her own recovery. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's take a journey together. I want you to close your eyes and just listen. We're going to travel together today on a difficult journey. Imagine spending your days often seeking out opiates because you don't want to be sick. The fear of being sick is overwhelming, and you realize you will not be able to function that way. This sickness is unlike any other. It holds on and will not let you go. A sickness that will bring you to your knees. You know you will be vomiting, having diarrhea, shaking profusely with chills, and a complete loss of the energy to even move your body. It feels like a beast that is constantly chasing you into dark corners and dangerous places you would have never dreamed of by yourself. Imagine a life where you're making phone call after phone call because the clock is ticking down and you know the effects are only going to last as long from the last time you used. Imagine going from place to place, spending every last dollar you could come up with from sun up to sundown and beyond. You are exhausted, broke, and stressed, already worrying about what you will be able to find tomorrow. Imagine realizing you haven't eaten anything today because it just slipped away from you. Now imagine you just woke up and it's the next day and you get to do it all over again. It doesn't care that you're pregnant. It doesn't care that you love your family or that you're unable to hold down a job. It doesn't care about all the things you're having to deal with. It just doesn't care. Day after day, this is your story. This is your story of opioid dependence. Next slide, please. Here is a list of great resources for opioid use in pregnancy. SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, has treatment resources and a locator to find treatment providers that you can use. There's great resources on the CDC website for pregnancy and opioid use as well. North Carolina Pregnancy and Opioid Exposure Project has a lot of great information. Also, the National Institute on Drug Abuse has good information on substance use and specifically breastfeeding. Mother to Baby is a great national resource, and also the March of Dimes. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn a little more about this topic, because becoming more educated and concerned is one of the first steps to changing viewpoints and making positive changes that can impact generations to come. These women need our compassion and understanding, not our judgments. It's always good to remember that change often starts with one voice that turns into many. That's all I have, guys.
Thank you, Melissa, for that great information. So before we go on, where I can share a little bit more about partners, One thing I forgot to share with you as we began was we welcome you to enter questions into the Q&A, which you'll find right at the bottom of your screen. So if you have questions for Melissa about opioid use and pregnancy, go ahead and pop those in right now. And while you're thinking about that, I have a question for Melissa. Melissa, can you share with us kind of what your support groups were like when you were working with the women? Kind of what did you do? That, you know, how that worked?
Usually the support groups we follow different steps to work on learning to be okay with being in treatment and being pregnant. And how one of the big focuses that we had on the groups was how to deal with people outside of treatment that were always so supportive. A lot of the clients that I dealt with OBGYNs that were very not supportive, them being in MAT. And so a lot of times as a clinician, I would get involved and try to assist with those. We covered a wide variety of topics. Usually somebody from the neonatal ward would come and actually sit in on the groups and would bring medical information, and they could ask medical questions during that time. Like you had said in my bio, we would set up times to actually go tour. We talked about the importance of prenatal care. We just covered everything that we could. And a lot of times when you had several women in that group that were pregnant, they were a big support to each other because they understood what they were going through. So it was just a phenomenal thing to be a part of, and to see these women, you know, get sober and remain sober and go on to have healthy children.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, Melissa. Really makes you think about how all the things that we deal with, whether it be mental health, whether it be substance, it really can make a difference in your life, and support makes a difference in your life. So thanks again, Melissa, for sharing that great information. So I don't see any questions in our Q&A, so let's go ahead and move on, and I will share some information about Partners Health Management. And again, I encourage you and invite you to enter any questions you might have for us here at Partners into the chat. Okay, so Partners Health Management, just in case you are not familiar with Partners, just wanted to talk a little bit about it. You know, we're an insurance company. We manage both Medicaid and state funds to provide access for mental health care, substance use disorder, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and traumatic brain injury services. So we are proud to call ourselves a member care organization. Here at Partners, we provide education and advocacy, support for the members and families receiving services in our areas. So also wanted to let you know that if you're not aware, that beginning October 1, that's when we will start managing the North Carolina Medicaid's behavioral health IDD tailored plan. And most times you just hear that referenced as a tailored plan without all of those words at the beginning there. And as you may or may not know, we are currently managing North Carolina Medicaid Direct for behavioral health only, which really is just how we've been operating now. So when you hear those words, Medicaid Direct, that is really how things have been working as we've been moving along here, with the LME MCOs managing the behavioral health piece. And again, behavioral health includes mental health, substance use disorder, intellectual and developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injury. And all of the LME MCOs are continuing to manage Medicaid Direct for behavioral health. And the physical health piece is covered by what's called a fee for service, meaning that your doctors and clinics are just sending that invoice directly to North Carolina Medicaid Direct. And your doctors and medical professionals are getting paid in that way. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always call our Partners Member and Service Center at 888-235-HOPE or 4673. And our goal is always to improve the lives and strengthen our communities, focusing on positive outcomes for our members. So as an LME-MCO, Medicaid, covering Medicaid Direct, soon to be tailored plan, we cover 14 counties. You can see on your screen there: Burt, Cabarrus, Catawba, Cleveland, Davie, Forsyth, Gaston, Iredell, Lincoln, Rutherford, Stanley, Surrey, Union, and Yadkin. Member Connect. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Member Connect, but Member Connect is our member portal. So what you see here is just a quick shot of our tailored plan website. And right at the top there in the red circle, you see the words Member Connect. So our members, guardians, LRP's legal representative person can create an account in Member Connect simply by clicking on Member Connect. You're going to log in using the member's name, the person in your family or that you're supporting that has Medicaid. You're going to enter that information and you'll be able to access our member portal. In the member portal, you can access resource information such as looking at handbooks, reading information about accessing services. You can see information about the member's benefit plan, documents that are specifically for the member. Perhaps they have a treatment plan or an ISP, an individual support plan. You'll be able to see all of that information in our member portal. So I wanted to let you know that was there. That member portal will become more important as we move to it. Here we go. Here's a screenshot of that. As we move closer to tailored plan, when you're selecting a primary care provider or perhaps a tailored care management entity, whether it be partners or another agency out in the community that's providing tailored care management, you'll be able to select them right here in Member Connect. So instead of making that phone call, you can log in here and fill out a form. You can also access health screenings here, mental health screenings. You can access provider search. So if you're looking for a provider for behavioral health or physical health, you can open up the handbook, look for rights and responsibilities information. You can also look at information on how to file a grievance or an appeal for a decision about a service. All of those things you can do right here from Member Connect. So check it out when you have a moment. Easy access to many things. All right, another thing I wanted to let you know about is transitions of care. All these new health plans that we have with the tailored plan, Medicaid Direct, etc. Sometimes there is a reason to switch between plans. We also have standard plans. You know, the majority of our folks that have Medicaid are served by the standard plan, meaning that they receive basic Medicaid services. Sometimes there comes a need where you need a more enhanced service. Maybe it's intensive in-home service. So that's just an example. You have the opportunity to transition to a higher level of care with Partners Health Management. And to do that, you use the request to move process, which you see right at the bottom of the screen there. It says members or providers may request to change health plans through the North Carolina Medicaid enrollment broker process found at, and there's a link there. And I know Seisha is going to drop into the chat for you so you can copy and paste it. Or you can call the enrollment broker at 833-870-5500. But the other thing I want to tell you is if you work with your healthcare provider, they can help you with this and get that request to move form completed and get connected. This seems to be the most expedient way to get connected with the transition of care team here at Partners. They're here to help to make sure that your transition is smooth. So again, reasons to switch would be a need for a higher level of service, or it also just may be that you moved from one county to another, and perhaps you moved to another LME-MCO's area. That request to move can be used for that. We're going to connect and do a warm connection between partners and your new MCO. Or maybe you just have a change in your Medicaid status. So transitions of care. All right, member engagement. That I mentioned to you earlier that we are all part of the member engagement team that are here with you online today. So what do we do in member engagement? So we're here to help you. We are here, we help, if you call in, we can help you navigate our system, get where you need to be. We can help you understand a letter you may have gotten in the mail. Or maybe you're interested in getting on the registry of unmet needs for intellectual and developmental disabilities, but you're not sure what to do. So you can call the member engagement line at 704. My mind just went blank, but I know it's on the next screen, so we'll talk about that in a minute. So there it is, right there, 704-884-2729. So again, if you call that number, we are most happy to help you out. We have a group of member engagement specialists that answer the call lines, so you are most likely going to get a live answer. If you do get to voicemail, we will get back to you as quickly as possible, typically within 24 hours. You can also call you can send an email to memberquestions@partnersvhm.org. So member engagement, we're here to help you. All right, PICS Health. If you have not heard or taken a look at the PICS Health mobile app, I really encourage you to do so. And I think that we are going to have a moment to be able to share a quick video with you that's going to share more with you about the PICS Health app. So let's go ahead and scoot on over to the next slide. We'll share that video and I'll talk a little bit more about it.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, we're not hearing the sound on the video. So give us just a moment. Let's see if we can correct that. So in the meantime, while Beth is working on that, I can tell you that the PICS Health app, what it does is it helps monitor both physical and mental health. And once you register for it, the app lets you interact with this cute little chat bot that comes up on your screen, and his name is Pixar. Pixar can help you access resources and give you helpful tips to live a healthier life. It also helps you access some mental health screeners. It really focuses on loneliness and gives you the kind of an idea of where you're at and gives you activities to help support you. And again, those screenings are focused on loneliness, depression, anxiety, and the app offers messages and assistance through activities. There's also a call center connected to the app. And so you can make a call to the call center, or the call center may call you based on the results of your screenings. So Beth, just let me know if you're ready to flip back.
I'm going to give it a go again.
Okay.
Knowledgeable. Because everyone can use a little extra support, our compassionate staff and simple app are unbeatable companions to connect you to the right care in the right moment. You get unlimited toll-free calls to our certified staff when PICS Health is provided as a health plan benefit. Our friendly and knowledgeable people listen with understanding, connecting you to resources for your physical and mental health needs, like where to find doctors and support groups, or get things like transportation, food, or diaper services. They help you make the most of your health insurance and give empowering support and encouragement. Making your health a priority can be hard at times, but our friendly team is here to make it easier. Together with our always on app, it's easy to stay connected and feel healthy and happy. Night or day, get free access to community and health resources and explore ways to boost positive well-being inside and out. Chat with Pixar, our friendly chatbot for humor and uplifting inspiration. Set reminders to stay on track with medications and wellness activities and keep balance with calming exercises or captivating games. No smartphone? No problem. If your health insurance plan provides our program as a benefit, we'll support you over the phone to make sure you get the help you need and feel more confident about your next steps. You're not alone. Let the power of Fix Health's companionship make life easier. Call us to sign up or download the app today.
Great. Hey, Beth, can you go ahead and switch back to the Pix slide that shows the link of where you download it? Right there we go. So right there in the center, you can see, I'm feel certain that Sasha probably dropped that into the chat for you, but it is www.hipix.com. You can also call the phone number here if you need some help or would prefer some help in getting it downloaded. So as a partners member, if you heard right at the end of that video, it mentioned if it's part of your health plan benefits, which it is part of your health plan benefits here at Partners. You get a more robust experience, and that's where that call center comes in. We've had some great stories about members that are currently using the app and how much it's helped them. You know, it's something that you can access 24 hours a day. And I know that the Pix folks have found that it's accessed a great deal between midnight and 6 a.m. in the morning. So it really provides support when you need it. So it's right there in the palm of your hand in a phone, or it can be accessed on a computer or a laptop. So Pix Health, I really encourage you to check it out. And you may have noticed on our website that there is a message on there that says, if you download your Pix Health app, you can get a gift card, a $10 gift card from Partners. So I really wanted to encourage you to check out the Pix mobile app. All right, thanks, Beth. Let's go ahead and go a little forward there. Right about there, perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit, gonna share some information with you about CFAC. You may have heard of it. It is Consumer and Family Advisory Committee. And this is a way for you to get involved with your behavioral health, mental health community. It's a volunteer group made up of members representing those who receive services. So we have individuals that serve on the CFAC. They're volunteers and they represent mental health, intellectual disabilities, traumatic brain injury, substance use disorder. We are really looking for folks to represent traumatic brain injury. So the folks on the CFAC advocate for all of the members of Partners and all individuals in the behavioral health system. So yeah, I just really want to encourage you to get involved and take part in it. You can see right there on the screen. If you're interested, you can send an email to cfac@partnersbhm.org or give us a call at member engagement, 704-884-2729. Or you can reach out to Cindy Troba, our member engagement manager. We met her earlier today. She is our member committee liaison, and there's a phone number there for you, 828-323-8090. And she can answer your questions and get you connected to our CFAC. All right, now let's talk a little bit about our member and recipient call lines. So our main call line is the same number that we've had, 888-235-4673, but there are a few changes. When you call that number, you will hear a menu and you're going to select who you want to talk to. This gives you the ability to connect with other departments in partners. Super easy. For example, if you were looking for care coordination, you can choose care coordination or care management. And the system is going to take you right there, and you're going to ring right into IDD care management or MHSU care management. Our line is now open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We also have behavioral health crisis. It is a new number that you see on your screen there, 833-353-2093. That continues to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. However, you still can call that number that you've always known, 888-235-4673. Your first option there is the crisis line, and you're going to get right to the crisis line if you need to. Also coming up with tailored plan is the nurse line and the pharmacy services line. Those lines are not active right now, but they will be in September prior to launching for tailored plan. And you're going to get to that by dialing that main number, 888-235-4673. And you're going to be able to choose the nurse line or the pharmacy services line. And right at the bottom is our provider services line, and that number is active now. That's for our providers to call in and get assistance, maybe about members, or maybe technical support for connecting with partners. And that number is 877-398-4145. And it also operates Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I wanted to let you know how important it is to stay in touch with us. You want to keep your contact information up to date. And the way you do that is you can call partners and share that information with us. But the best way to keep your contact information up to date is to call your local Department of Social Services. They're the keeper of that information. And all of those letters that go out in the mail are connected to the address that you have with DSS. That information comes to us and connects and is in our system as well. And that's for all those who have Medicaid. If you receive state funds, you don't have Medicaid, you're going to want to call Partners Access at the number I've said numerous times, 888-235-4673. And we encourage you to share that, but just do stay in contact with us. Super important so that you get all the information that you need. All right, so we're down to questions and comments. So I don't see anything currently in Q&A, but I encourage you, if you have anything you would like to ask, go ahead and drop that into the Q&A, or if you want to raise your hand using the raise your hand feature at the bottom of the screen, you can, then we can unmute you so that you can share with us. So I'll wait just a moment to see if anybody has any questions.
And I'm going to give our panelists just a moment to get prepared, and then I'm going to stop share and everyone will be back on camera.
Thank you, Beth. All right, last call for questions. Anything about partners or anything for Melissa about pregnancy and addiction? All right, I am going to take silence as you don't have any questions at this time. So I really want to thank you for spending your time with us today. Looks like we're going to be able to give you a good 15 minutes plus back in your day. That's always nice to have, 15 minutes that you weren't planning on. So everyone have a great afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us here at Partners for Member Cafe. Hope to see you next month in May.